Hey guys. Um, so I've noticed a lot of confusion that's kind of been going around. Um, Different people have commented on my channel saying that they're confused about whether or not the tribulation has happened yet, or thinking that the tribulation is a 7-year period. So I wanted to make this video to clarify what the scriptures actually say and where we are in the scriptures themselves. Um, and I want to make this as simple as possible. I don't want this to be confusing at all. But if you're new to my channel, though, I would just say, I have a lot of links that are in the description box, so please check those links and look at that, because I really go into extreme detail in some of those videos and actually show you the words and the concordance and everything. But just to clarify, when the tribulation is, the tribulation, the great tribulation that Jesus talked about, happens at the time or after or in the season of the Abomination of Desolation. So if you look at Matthew 24:15 through 22, Jesus gives a really, really simple timeline. He says, first you'll see the Abomination of Desolation, then you will escape, then the Great Tribulation will happen. So it's really simple. Abomination of Desolation, escape, tribulation. Abomination, escape, tribulation. So the tribulation hasn't happened yet. We would know if we were in the tribulation, and it's not a 7-year period. The 7-year time period that people are referring to is the one Shabuah that Daniel talked about. So if you were to look in your King James Version, for example, at Daniel 9:27, it says, "And he shall confirm the covenant for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate." But it's important to realize that the original Hebrew terms have multiple meanings. And so when they were translating the Bible a couple thousand years ago, they could not have known that, for example, the word zabak, which they translated it to be sacrifice, it also means the Passover. But they didn't choose to say he will cause the Passover to cease, because at the time, 2,000 years ago, it was more likely that he would cause the sacrifice to cease, because apparently that's what they were doing back then. But the word zabak also means Passover, just like the word mincha, which is translated as oblation. It also means tribute or gift. And again, the word weeks, that word is Shabuah, and it has 3 different meanings. So it can mean number 1, it can mean 7, or it can mean a period of 7 days or years, or it can mean the Jewish holiday of Pentecost. So that's what it literally means, that word Shabuah. So without trying to make this complicated, and I don't want it to be complicated, just focus on the fact for right now that the Abomination of Desolation is, we're told in Daniel 9:27 that it happens in the midst of that week. So not at the beginning of the week, but in the midst. Not at the beginning, not at the end, but in the midst of that week. So when you hear someone say the 7-year tribulation this or the 7-year tribulation that, just understand that That's not accurate. There is not a 7-year tribulation. The tribulation, the Great Tribulation, will happen around the time of the Abomination of Desolation, and that is in the midst of that 7-year period. So, where are we right now as far as fulfillments? I mean, what's going on? And I just want to cover this as simply as I possibly can. I don't want anybody to be confused or anything. I really want as many people as possible to understand what's happening right now, because it's extremely important and just amazing. So here's a table right here, and I don't know if this will help at all, but Gabriel gave Daniel a timeline, and here's the basic timeline here, and it's just basic. And then Jesus gave his apostles a timeline, and that's over here. And you can see that the two timelines match up at the Abomination of Desolation. So before the Abomination of Desolation, we have the commandment to restore Jerusalem, which is found in Daniel 9:25 right here, and you can read that if you want. Then we have the 7 Shabuah and 62 Shabuah until Messiah the Prince, which we find right here. I just want to point out one thing about this. Some people will add 62 plus 7 and come up with 69 and say that this means that there will be 69 Shabuah until Messiah. But the question that I always had in my mind is, if it was 69 Shabuah, why wouldn't it just say 69 Shabuah? Why does it have to say 7 Shabuah and 62 Shabuah? And I finally discovered the reason for that. And the reason is that there are two separate time periods, but they both relate to Messiah the Prince. So, from the going forth of the commandment, which we knew was in 1947, we know that the League of Nations declared Israel a country in 1947, November of 1947. So from that time until 1961, when Obama was born, there were 7 Shabuah. And when Obama became president, the first year of his presidency, when he won the Peace Prize, there were 62 Shabuah. So I'm not here to talk about politics. I don't care about politics. All I'm doing is pointing out the facts, and these are the facts. Shabuah means 7, period of 7 days or years, and Pentecost. So if we use the first meaning here, it is 7, 7, 7, 7, and 62 Pentecost. If we use the third meaning on this one, okay? So I don't want this to be confusing. But some people have said, no, it would have to be 7 times 7. It's not 7 times 7, okay? Because 7 times 7 would have to, this word right here would have to be plural. It would have to be sevens. 7 sevens. That would be 7 times 7. But this word is singular. The meaning, and go look up the word in the concordance, in the Bible concordance, and you'll see that this definition is singular. It is not plural. It is 7 plus 7, not 7 times 7. It's 7, 7, singular. So there are 7, 7, and 62 Pentecosts until Messiah the Prince. So we had, from 1947, we had 7 plus 7 Pentecosts until Obama was born, and 62 Pentecosts until he won the Peace Prize the first year of his presidency. Okay, so that's the first fulfillment that we had. So we've already seen that happen right here. And then it says, after 62 Shabua, Messiah will cut a covenant. Well, we don't know whether there was a covenant or not that has been made, because there are a lot of secret societies. There are a lot of things that go on in the governments that we're not told about. So there could have been an alliance that was made in 2009 here. We don't know. We just don't know if there was an alliance that was made here. But it says after the 62 Pentecost, after that time. So sometime after October 2009, basically, Messiah will karath. And karath can mean make a covenant, and it also can mean be cut off. So sometime after 2009, Obama will make a covenant or be cut off. That's what it's saying, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sacredness, or the hallowed thing. That's what Kodesh means. And the end thereof shall be with a flood, or a downpour, or an overflow. That's the word shetef. And unto the end of the war, Shemem, desolations, are determined. This I have in black bold because this hasn't happened yet. So the city will be destroyed, and the sacredness, or the hallowed thing. So that hasn't happened yet. And he shall confirm the berith, which is the covenant, alliance, pledge, or league, with many for one Shabua. So we don't know whether this has happened or not, because again, it might not be a public alliance. But we know that it possibly is happening sometime after 2009, but we don't know when exactly. And we don't know if we ever will know, because we don't know whether it's public or not. But in the midst of that time period, and again, that one Shabua that it's talking about, he's confirming this alliance for one Shabua. It could be a period of 7 years. So if it was a period of 7 years, and if the alliance was made here, then it would last until 2016. That would be the 7-year period. And as we were just talking about, the abomination of desolation would happen in the midst of that 7-year period. So sometime in here. And I'm going to show you that it actually happened in 2012, which is exactly right in the midst of the 7-year period. So it's amazing. I mean, it's exactly according to Scripture, but let me show it to you, and I don't want to rush you through this. I really do want you to understand what's happening here. So in the midst of that 7-year period, he will cause the Zabak, or the Passover, and the Mincha, the tribute, to cease. So he will cause the Passover and the tribute to cease in the midst of that 7-year period. But remember, Shabua can also mean Pentecost, and it can also mean simply 7. So we're not going to know for sure what this is right here, but this hasn't happened yet. He hasn't caused the Passover or the tribute to cease yet. And we don't know who this is, by the way. I want to make that clear as well. Because people are trying to say that I've said Obama's Antichrist, and I have not said that. In fact, I've said the opposite. I put out a video saying I have not said this, because so many people are unclear about this. But I want to make this clear, that the Scripture here says Messiah the Prince. And right here it says, the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city. That is not necessarily this person here. Okay, I got to start part 2 right here.